How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's March 19th. It is a greatest time of year. March Madness is here. We watched the first four games last night there. We watched two of them. We got more coming up tonight here as we're talking. Just the madness. The madness has started. Baseball right around the corner. We're watching the Cubs and the Dodgers play over in Tokyo at whatever, 2 in the morning. I don't even care. I don't even care about that crap show. I'm just glad that it isn't technically opening day. They give us opening day in America because it's the American pastime, so we get to keep it here. I love that. That's okay. They have their own baseball over there. We can have ours. But the Cubs and Dodgers playing over there, that's okay. Don't waste the Brewers' time by going over to Tokyo. Keep it Cubs, Dodgers, Yankees over there. I don't care. That's all right. But we're here. It's a great Wednesday. It's snowing in the state of Wisconsin. We don't like that, but otherwise, it's a great day. Aaron's here tonight. Aaron, how we doing? It's Wednesday. It's a great Wednesday.
It is, yeah. No, it's March is. I don't know about you, man. I think March is zipping by though. It's been a quick month. And yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I think we've definitely saw our last snow for the year. Knock on wood. I don't even think I need to knock on wood. It's been just warmer. It's been warmer in general. So just the fact that I'm hearing that you guys are getting snow is like, that's wow. Hopefully it's not like overwhelmingly, coming down, but it's
they said 4 to 7 inches in some places. So I heard, I don't know what we're going to get out here, but 4 to 7 inches is what I was told was happening in some places. I don't know exactly how much we got here, but I know we got some. So we'll wait and see on that one. It has been, I tell you what, guys, since the last time we talked, it has been hectic. Okay. It has been hectic. My life's been hectic. Quick side note, right? I can go side notes. I can go quick side notes. So
it's big stuff. Yeah.
Big stuff here. So my wife and I, we had our baby boy over this past week. Brevin Pritzel, right? Got a name after Badger legend Brevin Pritzel there. So Brev was born this last week, Wednesday. So that was exciting, right? We had the show on. We were listening to the show. You guys know it's pre-recorded, everything like that right now. We're going to get live here in the future, but right now just working with station and everything like that. But we're listening to the show in the delivery room. So that's kind of what our Wednesday was there. She loves to listen to the show after the fact there. So she always listened to it. She's like, well, let's listen to it. And I'm like, okay, I guess, whatever. So we're in the delivery room. We're listening to the show there. But yeah, so it has been absolutely a hectic last week here, but we're excited. He's healthy. He's home, everything like that. So it's been great there. But hey, I said it right then because he's 37 weeks, right? But I said the Badgers they're going to put on a national championship run. Because I said he didn't want to miss it. That's why. That's why he came out early. Because he was out to watch them play Northwestern on Thursday. We didn't know, right? He was out to watch Northwestern on Thursday. He's ready to go. He's home. He's healthy. He's ready to watch the Badgers here. Start out this little track here in Denver, right? The 3 seed in Denver. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But, we got lots to get to, Aaron. We got lots to get to today. So enough about my fantastic baby boy. That's the last time I'm saying that. Right? Last time I'm saying that. The little man himself there. But that's enough about that. I want to mention before we get started here, you can find us across social media out there. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find us on any of those platforms. On Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok, just search Wisco Sports on the Go. On Facebook and YouTube, just search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. You can also email the show. You got any questions, concerns, comments, you want to tell us we suck, whatever you want to do, you can email us, wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. That is wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. You can hit us up for Trage's mailbox. And then also, you can shoot us a text. We got a text in line, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914 with all your questions, comments, concerns. Like I said, you want to tell us we suck, just tell us we suck. You can do it on any of those platforms there. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight here. We got lots to get to right away. And this went across my phone last night there. The Packers made a move, but it was, I guess you could say, surprising. Right? This wasn't, everybody was like Devontae Adams, and then Adams signed, and then they moved on to DK, and then DK signed, and we threw our arms up. We're like, what are they going to do now? Oh, Cooper Kupp's still available. Okay, not Cooper Kupp anymore. What are the Packers going to do, right? This one I didn't see coming. Hardman from the Kansas City Chiefs. Hardman seems like he's been a lifetime Kansas City Chief guy. I don't know. It's like he's always been there. As far as I can remember, that's where he's been. He's kind of floated around. He's in, he's out. But out of all the guys that were left in free agency from the list that I was looking at, and I was, just looking at all these guys that were left over, I guess you could say, he was probably the most durable of them all, not banged up, not a Band-Aid, just a guy, you're going to bring him in. He's experienced. But I think the biggest thing with this one, he's a speedy returner. And Keyshawn Nixon stated at the end of the season, he doesn't want to return anymore. He doesn't want to be a kick returner. Insert Mecole Hardman. Here you go, right? That's an important part of the game now because the NFL continuously year after year is trying to find a way to get, guys to return kickoffs, right? That's the big thing now. We're trying to figure out, should we back kickers up? How should we entice guys to return the football? This is a moment in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, I guess you could say, where I think kick returning is going to be put into the forefront because that's what the NFL wants. They want more returns. So having a good returner, that could be a premium, right? Maybe Hardman, I can't say I've watched Hardman return a lot of kicks. So I don't know if he's like, he's not Devin Hester back there or anything crazy like that. But you got to have somebody solid, right? Flip the field for you, set you up solid. I think Mecole Hardman could be that guy for the Green Bay Packers. Plus, he's an experienced dude. I mean, how many times Kansas City Chiefs been in the Super Bowl? I mean, with Mecole Hardman on the team, right? So he's a been there, done that guy. He's been to the postseason. He's going to be able to help these guys out. Maybe he's not a Devontae Adams or a guy who's going to be a star wide receiver on your team. He's not that guy. No, I think the Packers, honestly, they might answer the question in the draft. They might go get a guy, right? We talked about that a little bit there. But to be honest with you, I think they like the guys in the room. And I think this is my personal opinion, and a lot of people are going to hate on this one. I kind of like the guys in the room too, to be honest. I think there's a lot of potential, right? We didn't get to see Dobbs was hurt, right? 2 concussions in that year, right? And Christian Watson's going to be banged up for a while. But Dontavian Wicks has got a ton of upside. Stop dropping the football, right? Same with Jaden Reed. Stop dropping the football. You have multiple guys right there. 2 of your best receivers have a drop problem. That can be fixed. Like that can be fixed, right? There's certain things with receivers and their games and their mindsets and different things that you can't fix, and it's hard to fix. Those are the drop problem, the focus. I think that's something that can be fixed. And for me, I like the look of the Green Bay Packers. I like the look of the wide receiver room. Now, do I think you can add? Yes. I'm not saying you can't add. Like, don't get me wrong. Would I have taken Devontae Adams? Yeah. Who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't add more star power if you can? I agree. I am all for that. But if this is going to allow the Green Bay Packers to go out and you got to bring in pieces, right? Sometimes it isn't the stars that make the difference at the end of the day. Sometimes it's the little pieces that it's like, look at the Eagles. They added Zach Bond. And Zach Bond was not supposed to be, he was great. He was a great linebacker. I loved him at Wisconsin, right? Big Wisconsin guy here. I loved him at Wisconsin. He was great, but he wasn't supposed to be this all-pro, great, Pro Bowler that was going to just be the leading tackler on the Eagles and just do it all and have a big pick here and a big pick there and help the Eagles get to a Super Bowl. That wasn't what he was supposed to be, but he ended up being that guy. And then Oren Burke steps in. And, the Packers drafted him way back in the day, and he wasn't supposed to be this great linebacker, but he filled in for the Eagles and had a decent enough playoff, right? Decent enough time out there. So it's not always the stars make your team. The stars are the ones who make the big plays, right? But it's the in-between plays. You got to have guys who are going to fill in and do the little things. And that's a Mecole Hardman. That's a Hardman kind of guy. That's, what the Packers have done with Hobbs, bringing him in that secondary. The little things, right? So, Aaron, you hear this, you see Mecole Hardman on his way to Green Bay. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on him coming in? Good move, bad move? Just, I take it as just okay. Like, not what I was expecting. I'm not gonna blow up Twitter right now and tell everybody about it. Like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. But solid move. I think it's a depth piece, and I don't think it's a bad depth piece.
Yeah, I'm along the same wavelength there as well because to me he's kind of like a comparable to me is like Brandon Ayuk a little bit, because he can run the ball, you can pitch one in the backfield and kind of run him off to the sides and stuff like that. Like he's versatile in the running game and obviously in the pass catching game. So yeah, a guy like you said, a guy who's been there, done that as far as competed for Super Bowls, won Super Bowls. And been around like a winning pedigree. He played at Georgia, like all the type of things that, the makeup of the guy is probably pretty good. Like I imagine he just goes about his business the right way. Just being around those type of environments, Coach Reed there in Kansas City, like like you said, just kind of one of those been there, done that type of guys. And I think some of that can rub off on these younger receivers. You talk about with the Packers that you like so much there. And I think that could improve them. Like you said, is it if Devontae Adams? Are people rushing out to get, Hardman's jersey? No. But like you said, all those in between plays, like you mentioned, like the Eagles with like Jahad Dotson in the Super Bowl. That was one of those things where he made an impact, and like no one thought he would make an impact at all. So like these in between receivers, these guys that are kind of just scratching to get a couple catches here and there. Who knows? I mean, this guy has wheels. We know that. So I think he could be definitely effective in the passing game and just kind of open things up a little bit more in the running game, honestly, as well. If they, granted, they use them kind of all over the place like that.
Yeah, no, and we talk about a drop problem. This guy had one of the biggest catches in the biggest moment, right? He won the Super Bowl. He had the game-winning catch in that Super Bowl for the Chiefs. I believe that was that was just a couple years ago, wasn't it?
The Niners.
I think it was the Niners. It was the one in overtime. It was that one in overtime that he caught it there on the run. I mean, that's a big catch. That is a big moment for a big catch. Just ask Mark Andrews how that goes, because he had a chance for a big moment there and a big catch, and dropped the football, right? So, I mean, that's a big thing too, as a guy with focus. And what we saw there is a guy with some focus. He's got something to prove. Now that he's out of Kansas City, can he help a different team win? Can he find a way to help the Packers get over a hump? That's something that I think is very underappreciated of some of these guys, is that they're trying to prove themselves too, because now it's like, okay, maybe I only look good because of Patrick Mahomes. So now I got to go out and I got to prove to people like, hey, I'm pretty darn good by myself, right? And I think, like I said before, though, I think it's a huge thing for the return game, because you got to have a good returner. This allows Keyshawn Nixon to just focus on being a cornerback, not having to focus on being out here. Because Keyshawn Nixon, I mean, you're talking about a guy who said, I want to be quarterback. He wants to be CB1. I don't think he's a CB1. He's got, Jair still in the fold. We don't know what's going to happen with Jair. He's still in his books. They haven't moved him yet. They signed Nate Hobbs. I mean, I'm okay with keeping Jair at this point, just to say screw it. But do you want to take that cap hit? That's the question. Do you trust that Jair stays? Because if he stays healthy, if Jair stays healthy, and you just added Nate Hobbs, and you have Keyshawn Nixon in the room, and you got some of these young guys, and you got Xavier McKinney back there in the safety room along with Evan Williams, that's a pretty darn good secondary. That is a pretty darn good secondary, if you ask me. You're not asking Nate Hobbs to be more than what he is. He's just a solid guy. Like, he's a very versatile guy. Everybody on this Nate Hobbs moves like, he's not great. He's not great. You weren't asking for great. You were just asking for good enough. Good enough, good job done. That's what you needed. And now you go into the draft and you answer some of these questions in the pass rush room. You got to answer the pass rush yet. That's something everybody's so stinking worried about the offense right now. It's like, I heard the greatest thing today. They were talking about the Eagles and the Eagles Super Bowl run. And it was, the Eagles against the Packers, their offense sucked. And anybody who wants to tell me different, Aaron's an Eagles fan, and he's going to tell me the same darn thing. The Eagles offense sucked against the Packers. Their defense won them that game. And in the next couple games out there, it wasn't the same story. The Eagles offense, exploded against the Commanders, right? So it changed, it flipped script there. But you have to have you can't win games being like the Bengals. You can't just expect, because now there's a lot on Joe Burrow's plate right now. Because if Joe Burrow's offense does not win him, get him into the playoffs, they're going to look back on it and say, well, why'd you need T. Higgins? Why didn't we just get you somebody on defense, right? So the Packers are in the same boat right now. It's like, we can keep adding on the offense, but you got to respect the defense too. You got to look at adding pieces on that defense too. So that's kind of where I think the Packers will shift gears and look forward to now. But hey, we got lots more to get to tonight here. We got Brewers talk on the backside of the commercial break here. We'll be right back in just a minute. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go on this March 19th here. Aaron and I tonight here on the show. We just wanted to mention to you guys, if you want to find us across social media, make sure you do it. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. You can find us on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go. On Facebook and YouTube, just search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trade. And then you can shoot us an email. You got questions, comments, concerns, you want to tell us we suck, I don't care what you want to do. You can email us on the show here, wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. That is Wisco Sports on the go at gmail.com. Or you can shoot us a text. Hit the text in line there, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. This next segment of the show here is brought to you by Foreman's Hardware. Foreman's Hardware offers everything from home essentials to farm supplies. House to farm, grills to drills, Foreman's Hardware has got you covered. Visit today in Loyal, Colby, or Medford, Wisconsin. There, tell them Trade sent you. They'll get you a little bit of a percent off. They'll get you some money off. They'll get you some money off on your order there. Just tell them Trade sent you at any one of those locations there. So I mentioned you guys earlier. I'm a dad now, right? So we got our dad joke of the day. I can make my dad jokes now, right? I had a lot of them. I was talking about, why can't you hear a pterodactyl pee? Aaron, why can't you hear a pterodactyl pee?
Not a clue.
The P is silent, dude. The P is silent. That's all
there you go. There you go.
That's all you got to know. But everybody right now, here is our dad joke of the day. Why did the coffee file a police report?
I'd love to know.
It got mugged. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know right there. That's your dad joke of the day, folks. Make sure you go tell your kids that one. So we got lots more to get into tonight here on the show. We got Melio Minute coming up this in this hour here. Goodness gracious, we got all kinds of stuff to happen here, but we got to get to the Brewers. We got to get to the Brewers here because Joey Ortiz was announced as the starting shortstop for the Milwaukee Brewers in this upcoming season. That comes in light of Bryce Terang with a little bit of some soreness in that throwing arm going from short to first. That can be expected, right? You play second base for a while. You're not really making those deep throws from shortstop. You start making some deep throws from shortstop there, and your arm's going to get tired, right? It's a little bit longer. It's a different throw than what he's been used to. So it's something, like Pat Murphy said, it's unfortunate because we just went from he's going to play second to we're just going to switch it up maybe to play short, right? So it's very unfortunate because it's like we're going to put him at second. Now we're going to try him at short because we feel like this guy's got the best glove. We want to keep Ortiz at third. We maybe want to put Durbin at second base or Vinny Capra at second base. And now it's like, oh, crap, right? Or Bryce Terang can't throw from short. So now Ortiz got to slide over. So now third base is a question mark again. It's like, what are we going to do, right? So the pieces are moving. But we finally got that. Kind of a jerk. Like we're done with that one. Ortiz is playing shortstop. We don't know. That's the biggest question right now, too, for me, is what is going to be the Vinny Capra, Monasterio, Durbin? What are they going to do, right? Because Capra's out of options. He's having a fantastic spring, and he's out of options. So what do you do? My opinion, Monasterio and Durbin both have options, right? So you don't know, right? Vinny Capra, you see a lot of guys who go into the spring and they're like just lighting it up. 6 home runs, 7 home runs, 8 home runs. They're batting 400. And then you bring them into a regular season and like they bat 100, 150 and they hit 1 home run and it's not the same, right? So honestly though, what's it going to hurt? If you send Durbin down or you send Monasterio down because they have options, you bring Capra up, say he lights the world on fire. Maybe this is just a one of those diamond in the rough breakout years for a random dude. It happens. Like there's been guys who have done it. I can't name off the top of my head, but there's been guys who've done it before. I mean, it happens. So maybe Vinny's that guy. If he's not, well, guess what? You can always just bring Durbin or Monasterio back up. But the difference is you can't just bring Capra back up because he's going to be sent out. He's going to get designated for assignment. And then other teams have the opportunity to come pick him up. You don't want to deal with that because then what if the Cubs say, well, that sounds like an enticing deal. Let's sign him up. And then all of a sudden he's batting, 250, 270, 280, whatever with the Cubs there and launching bombs left and right. And he's beating you up and he's helping win a division. You don't want that, right? If you got talent in the room, utilize it. I'm all for right now with Vinny Capra being on the roster. He better be on the opening day roster. Because what I've seen in spring, he's done everything that he has to do to prove himself in spring, right? The throwing, the infielding, just fine, right? Hitting, just fine. He's done everything he's got to do to prove himself. Otherwise, you're going to tell me basically spring training doesn't mean anything for these guys. Because of that performance, what he's been able to do so far, and we were going to talk about the stats of this Brewers team a little bit here. But, I mean, he's in 17 at-bats. He's got 7 hits, 4 home runs, 412 average. If that isn't enough to say, like, this dude's been lighting it up in spring, I don't know what it is, right? So you got to kind of, like we talked about it that one day, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago that we talked about spring training stats and stuff like that. And if they mattered, if they didn't, they got to matter a little bit. They got to matter just a little bit to guys. And if you put a spring together like this, you deserve a shot. So I'm in with Vinny getting that shot there. But we're going to see what do the Brewers do now. Now that we know Ortiz is short, We know Bryce Terang's second. What's going to be the option at third? Because Oliver Dunn's had a pretty good spring. I mean, he's been launching balls off the bat there. He's been 100 plus, and I believe like 12 or 13 different balls that he's hit. So, I mean, that's impressive. He's been putting a good swing on the ball so far. So maybe we see a guy like Oliver Dunn slot in there. We know they haven't really tinkered with this one, but Sal Frelick can play third base. We know that he tested him out there. Sal Frelick has been showing some absolute pipes in spring. I know everybody last year was like, this guy, he's got the softest contact in the league, not in the whole league, but he had one of the softest contacts, and he just didn't have the pop. And this season, I'm watching him in spring here a little bit, and he's hitting bombs left and right. I believe he's got what? He's got a couple home runs, I believe. One so far here. But I mean, watching him, he's had some loud outs. He's had some loud contact. It is what you wanted to see out of Sal Frelick. So maybe see a guy like Sal Frelick slide into that kind of spot there. But the Brewers right now, we know Ortiz at short. We'll see what happens there with that third base spot and what they decide. Pretty soon. I mean, we're 10 days away from opening day of baseball, I believe. It's getting right around the corner, though. Maybe 9. I don't know. Math's not my strong suit there. But this is what my strong suit is yelling about people who make stupid comments on social media. So let's get to that. Because I saw a post, Aaron. I love these crazy Brewer fans just as much as I love the Greg Gard haters that come out of the woodworks after the Big Ten championship game and say, Greg Gard sucks after he led him to a Big Ten championship. So I saw this post, and they said they listed all the Brewers pitchers that are hurt. Woodruff, Myers, Gasser, DL Hall, Ashby, all on the IL to start the year, right? So they're all out. And this person, they said, this is why you hit free agency pitching market a little bit harder in the offseason, because you have all these guys being out right now. Woodruff, I mean, I don't understand. Outside of Woodruff and Gasser, so those two were expected. Woodruff is actually ahead of schedule, but Gasser was expected to be on the IL to start it. Myers, DL Hall, Ashby, they weren't expected to be out. Now, Ashby, I wouldn't bank on him being a successful starter because we haven't seen it yet. I wouldn't have banked on it. But DL Hall was a promising, not prospect anymore, but promising pitcher that you had in there. And Tobias Myers was a dog last year. So you brought in Jose Quintana. What else were you bringing in? Like, honestly, what else were you bringing in? Because say you brought in a guy, Aaron was talking to me about this before the show, and he was talking about the Orioles with Charlie Morton there. What are you going to do? Bring in Charlie Morton, and then what? If Tobias Myers doesn't get hurt, what are you going to do with Tobias Myers? Or what are you going to do with Charlie Morton if Tobias Myers doesn't get hurt? What are you going to do with him? You have Nestor Cortez, you have Freddie Peralta, you have, technically at that point, you would have had Tobias Myers, you would have had, Aaron Savali, you still have Savali in there. You have a plethora of pitchers that you're working from right now. So, and Jose Quintana, I forgot about him. You had Jose Quintana too. What are you going to do with a guy like Charlie Morton? You would just add, okay, more depth. Great. So what do? We throw him in the bullpen? Okay, you throw him in the bullpen. That takes another guy's spot. Because now you have a bullpen guy where you're like, what are we going to do? You have Jared Canning out there. You have Brian Hudson. You have Peguero. Your Uribe is going to be out for a little bit because he's still suspended yet, I believe. But outside of that, you have all these guys, Trevor McGill out there in the closer's role. Who knows I would take Craig Yoho in my bullpen right now. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. But I believe he's going to start in the minors. But I would take him in my starting rotation. Or not my starting rotation, my bullpen. Over a guy like Charlie Morton just because I had assigned depth, right? So I just, fans who do this stupid thing where they're like, oh, these guys got hurt, so now I'm going to complain. Now, you would have complained if we would have signed Charlie Morton because he wouldn't have been good enough. You would have complained just like the people complained, like I was mentioning after Jose Quintana. Everybody was complaining, oh, well, he's got a home run problem. But we were complaining before that Mark Anastasio won't spend money. He goes and spends money, we complain. It's just people complaining, and it's ridiculous. That's what I wanted to get out of this. Is it just ridiculous? You have some young guns. You have some young guns who are coming up here. The Brewers are building this baby. And I don't know if anybody hasn't noticed this yet, but they're building this with young guns. They're not going out and getting all these veterans. They're not saying, let's sign up the world, right? They're getting young guns and they're saying, let's go and do this. Let's see what we got in our room. And I kind of like that motto. Why would you not want to build your roster with what you got, right? With what you've built up. Your Garrett Mitchells, your Jackson Churios, your Blake Perkins, and your Sal Frelics, and, Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz, who you traded for there. And, you're going to have a young catcher in Jefferson Cuero at some point here. But even William Contreras was still learning and young when he came to Milwaukee. He's still young. when he came to Milwaukee. Your pitching staff is guys that you've home raised, right? Looking at Freddie Peralta, looking at guys like Brandon Woodruff when he comes back, Tobias Myers, Robert Gasser, DL Hall was basically just a prospect when he came in, Iron Ashby. Your bullpen is all guys in that same realm. I mean, it's guys that you've taken a chance on and they've produced. So I kind of like that motto that the Brewers are rolling with there. Would I be opposed, like I talked about with the Packers? Would I be opposed if they went out and they signed, I don't know, Garrett Cole? No, I wouldn't be opposed to it, right? I mean, everybody's going to be like, let's go sign this dude. But I'm a realist.
Well, like a Kyle Gibson, maybe. Like that
like a Kyle Gibson you can maybe get, but whose roster spot you want him to take, right? It's not like the Brewers aren't bringing in a guy where it's like automatic, right? He's in there. Boom. Right. No, they're not bringing in that guy. They're not.
Cole. Cole is it's somebody like that.
Like, am I a dreamer who says I wish that they would go and do this? Sure, I'm a dreamer who says that, but it's not going to happen. I'm a realist right now, telling you that the Brewers are going to do this thing from the inside out, and I'm going to cheer for it either way. Like, I'm all in for it. I'm all in for it because guess what? They've had success doing it, and until they don't have success doing it, then okay. If you guys want to complain after they don't have that success, after it all blows up in our faces, complain. Be my guest. Text me. Call me. Whatever. Be my guest. But until then, shut up. Just done. But Logan Henderson, I did see the young gun there, Logan Henderson. He is expected possibly to get a spot start. He was sent down to the minor league camp. He was brought back up to the big league camp there. So starting pitcher Logan Henderson might get a spot start there. 8 2/3 inning in spring here, 7 hits, 4 earned runs. He's pretty solid. I mean, a solid guy, just a spot starter. Nothing crazy to him there. But I saw some stats here about Craig Yoho real quick here before we got to hit the ad break here and get to the Badgers on the backside of that. But I did see some Craig Yoho stats, and I want to get to this because they talked about him compared to Devin Williams. And, the airbender versus what we're going to call the yo-yo. That's what we're going to call him. And it's a slower version with similar movements, what Devin Williams said. So they compare the two changeups, and I thought this was just absolutely ridiculous. Craig Yoho's changeup drops 4 feet. 4 feet on its way to the plate. That's nuts. That is just absolutely nuts. And it breaks about 1.5 feet horizontally. That's wild. That is just absolutely wild. So comparing that to Devin Williams, his changeup was 84 miles per hour, 42 inches of drop, and 19 inches of fade. So that's your horizontal movement there. Craig Yoho's comes in at 77 miles per hour, about 4 feet, 47 inches, about 4 feet of drop, and 18 inches of fade. That's ridiculous. And his sinker, Craig Yoho's sinker, 94 miles per hour. Talk about nuts. You could drop a 94 mile per hour sinker on a guy, and then you come back with a 77 mile per hour changeup to back it up. That is a crazy drop off right there. So I am excited to see Craig Yoho. I just mentioned him before there, maybe getting a shot. He's going to be up in the bigs this year at some point. We just don't know when. Pat Murphy did hint that he'd probably start in the minors, and we'd see him up after that. But hey, we got to hit an ad break. We got Badgers on the backside, so make sure you are coming back here on the show. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is March 19th. We're here. I know the first 4 is happening tonight here. Some great games across college basketball. Just starting out the March Madness slate here. NIT tournament, too, happening right now. But I got to mention, before we get to our Mellow Yellow Minutes, I got to mention this next segment. These next segments are brought to you by a couple of our fantastic sponsors here. First, Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Expert traditional physical therapy and structural integration programming. Call for flexible scheduling and evaluations within 24 to 48 hours there. Just call 715-267-4583 for all your physical therapy needs here in central Wisconsin or elsewhere. I mean, works weekends, everything like that. He'll get you in no matter what. He'll find a way to get you better there. And then also Marshfield Motor Speedways. Don't really have an ad read for them yet. Mr. Wayne O'Breverick over there at the racetrack has not gotten me a ad read yet, but the show is also sponsored by Marshfield Motor Speedways there in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Make sure you are checking out them on Facebook because you can find the schedule there. Get yourself down to the racetrack this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages there. So make sure you're getting down to the racetrack there. But Aaron, let's get over to our Mellow Yellow Minute. Now, everybody knows every week we do our little trivia time, Mellow Yellow Minute there. I want you guys to go grab your favorite beverage. Make sure you're cracking it up there. I got my Mellow Yellow as I do every single week. And I want to talk. It's March Madness, right? So we got to get our March Madness question. Which NCAA tournament team has the most, what did we decide on, appearances? I think we
I'll
decided.
say wins. I'll say
wins. Let's go wins. Which team has the most NCAA tournament wins? We'll go top 5. Aaron, what do you got? Rattle them off.
I'll say it in no particular order, but I do think this one's got to be like top 2. I got to say Duke, right?
Number 3.
Oh, see, I cursed myself already. Syracuse. Give me Syracuse.
Syracuse is on the list, but they're number 9.
Wow. Okay. No, North Carolina.
North Carolina is number 1, 133. I mean, you think between Roy Williams and Dean Smith, they've had a lot of winning.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I don't know if I feel great about this one, but Gonzaga.
Gonzaga is not on the list.
Yeah, I didn't feel great about it.
That's only strike 1. You got strike 1.
I know Georgetown hasn't been good in a while, but
not Georgetown.
Not Georgetown. Man, give me conference at least. Give me conference here.
We got an SEC team, a Big 12 team, and a used to be Pac-12 team, now Big 10. One of the most historic ones.
Yeah, give me UCLA.
UCLA is number 5 on the list. So you got a Big 12 team and a SEC team.
SEC, let's go.
These ones are relatively easier. Come on, think about it. Big 12. One of the better basketball teams in the Big 10 or Big 12 historically. Like every single year.
Every single year.
Except for this year, they kind of stink. Big 12, they're blue.
Blue, Big 12. Man, drawn. You just give me that one. I'll get the SEC.
Kansas one. Jayhawks on there.
Oh yeah. They do. You're right. Yeah, they do stink this year. That's right.
They do. They're stinking us. One last one. SEC team. They are also blue.
SEC blue.
Aaron is not a huge college basketball fan.
I am not, but I should know I should know the conferences. The same thing applies to football. So it's like, come on. SEC blue. Give me like one more little nugget there.
A quarterback came out of here who likes putting mayonnaise in his coffee.
Oh, Kentucky, yeah.
Kentucky with 130. So your top 5 for most NCAA tournament wins all time: North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, UCLA, and then we got Michigan State coming in the 6th spot there. So there you go. There is your top of the, just top. They're pretty good teams in there, historic teams right there. UCLA hasn't been as big recent, but way back in the day, 11 championships, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Who was that coach? I know you know that UCLA
Mr. Wooden himself.
Yes. There you go.
He was, that's just about all you need to know there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about all you need to know there is they named an award after him. So like I don't know what else you really need to know about John Wooden, but that's about it there. I was trying to see his record, his career record, if they showed it there, but
I was gonna say I know you'll know that, like John Wood, like I know that. So
I didn't know if I was hoping that I'd be able to see his career record, but maybe right here. Let's see here. His career record, 664 and 162. Wow. That is over an 800. That's over an 80% win percentage right there. That'll ridiculous. That is ridiculous. This guy, but that's all we need to say. Everybody knows about him. Everybody needs to know about him. He is just that fantastic. So let's get over. I want to talk about something fantastic that we saw over the weekend there. And that was the Badgers. I just got to say it. I know, there's some people across social media, like I mentioned before there, who told me that, Greg Gard choked the last game out and everything like that. They somehow found a way to make what the Badgers did in the Big Ten tournament look like crap. That's what, these people love to do. I got to be honest with you. Watching Wisconsin in this Big Ten tournament, I thoroughly thought it was some of the best basketball they've played. That game against Michigan State was the most complete. UCLA, they dominated from the three-point line. Offensively, defensively, they dominated UCLA. Northwestern was a gritty, solid win. I didn't know what was going to happen there, but it's a gritty, solid win. And, all in all, they took care of business. And the Big Ten championship, I got to be honest with you, doesn't mean jack squat. It doesn't. I saw a quote. I believe it was some guy from 100.9, something, I don't know, some radio station. He's a Michigan fan, so who cares? But he did say something that I thought was quite intriguing, I guess. And he said, and this was on Michigan being a 5 seed, either the selection show needs to be moved back to 7 p.m. or the Big Ten needs to start their tournament on Monday and end on Saturday. There's quite literally no argument for Wisconsin having a better seed than Michigan. None. Michigan beat the Badgers twice. So that's his kind of argument there of why he believes that, Michigan should be ahead of them. I will say this. Michigan went into the Big Ten tournament sucking. Lost the game to Illinois, lost the game to Maryland, lost the game to Michigan State. Michigan had a shot for at least a tie of the Big Ten regular season championship. They lost 3 straight heading into the Big Ten tournament. So now if we say that tournament play doesn't really matter that much, what is the committee supposed to look at? They're going to be the committee looks at recency bias, right? They're very recency. Like, what did we see this team do leading up to this point? And I got to be honest with you, I'm looking at, let's look at Michigan's schedule, right? What we saw from Michigan over the season. They beat Northwestern by 4. They beat Rutgers by 3. They beat Penn State. Badge lost to Penn State. I get it. But they beat Penn State by 4 at home. Badge lost at home. I get it. They beat Oregon by 4. They beat Indiana by 3, a team that Wisconsin annihilated, right? They lost to Illinois by 20. Illinois went to Ann Arbor and won by 20, 93-73. 93-73. Guess what the Badgers did to Illinois the second time that they saw them? They put up 95 points. They beat them 95-74, and the only reason why it looked close was because the Badgers let it be close. It was a butt kicking. So you can say, and I will full-heartedly say with you, that Michigan did deserve a better seed than what they got. I thought they did. They won the Big Ten tournament. I thought they deserved a better seed than that. But to say that they had a better season than Wisconsin, shut up. No. Because I look at what Michigan did, the proof in the pudding, right? You want to look back and see what did they do that made them look so good, right? If I look at St. John's with Rick Pitino, St. John's is a team that shoots like 30% in some games, 30% from the field, and they somehow win by 20. How many teams do that? Not many, right? I just look at what these teams do, and I look at what Michigan did this season. It wasn't impressive. They just won games. They won games, but at some point, winning games is winning games. Like, what is, you got to look good in those games, right? They didn't look good. They snuck games out. The Big Ten championship game, I'm going to tell you this right now. Wisconsin looked like crap. So did Michigan. They look like absolute crap. I mean, both teams collectively. Badgers shot 22% from the field. Michigan shot 32, and they won by 6. You won by 6, and the Badgers shot absolutely 22%, 10% worse than what you did. And you still only won by 6. That's what I got to say. That's all I got to say to that. All I got to say to that one is Michigan, I will agree with this guy, did not deserve to just get a 5 seed. I thought they could have been a 4 line. I really did. But Wisconsin did not deserve to be that much lower than Michigan. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much right now. Now, we talked about, Wisconsin in coming into this tournament here and the 3 line. And we thought they'd end up in Milwaukee. They did end up in Milwaukee. They're going to end up going out to Denver, and a lot of people were upset about that one. They went through kind of what happened and why they ended up where they did. Iowa State ended up higher than them. I believe they ended up in the South region, Iowa State did, and they're going to play in Milwaukee. But I think what needs to be kind of disclosed before the tournament field is released is who's going to be playing and who's not going to be playing. Because Iowa State is going to be without one of their best guards for the tournament, for the whole tournament. They're going to be one of their best players. So I think that's a huge note that kind of just got left out. Kind of just got left out of it because everybody was like, oh, yeah, Iowa State, 24-9, came out of the Big 12, solid year. They got some good wins. Yeah, okay, that's all fine and dandy, and I love that. But at the same time, you're missing one of your best players. And what we've seen from Iowa State is when they're missing their best players, they don't look good. And I know that's a lot of teams, right? But they struggle. So missing one of your best guards going into this one, you're going to struggle a little bit. So I thought Wisconsin could have jumped them, maybe ended up in Milwaukee. But Wisconsin, look back at it and say to yourself, We lost to Oregon. We lost to Penn State at home. You did it to yourself, right? You can't be upset at anybody but yourself. You had the opportunity. You probably had the opportunity. The way that it went going into the Big Ten tournament, you were on the 4 line. You ended up on the 3 line. Who knows? Some teams lose on the 2 line. Maybe you jump a team I don't know if you jump Michigan State, but maybe you jump a team. I don't know, right? If you don't lose those games, those games that you had in hand, if you are the Wisconsin Badgers, because you did. You had those games in hand. You had the Penn State game. Oregon, you had that game. That would have, Michigan State, you struggled on the road, but not a bad loss. You had a good Big Ten tournament. You could have played your way back into it. You would have been going into March with 1 loss in your last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. You'd been going into that tournament with 1 loss. You've been 9-1 in your last 10 with some pretty good wins. A win at Purdue, a win against Illinois where you smoked them, a game against Michigan State where you just lost at the Breslin Center. That's a solid month. That's a solid month that you could have put onto your resume. But that game against Oregon and the game against Penn State completely kibosh that. So you have yourself to blame for that one. You go to Denver now, you see what happens, right? I thought it was interesting. I saw a stat, the most losses in the Big Ten title game history. The Badgers lead it. 6 losses in the Big Ten title game. So they get there, and that's impressive in its own right. But now you got to win it, right? They've lost 6 times. It happens, though, but it proves that you get there a lot. And that's impressive in its own right, is getting to that point there, especially 4 games in 4 days. And that's what we saw, I believe, in that Michigan game. There was both teams just played like they had tired legs, and they played like it was just it was a 4th game in 4 days, and it was like, we're tired. We're tired today, and that's about it, because we saw that for John Tonje in that one. He looked absolutely terrible in that game. The officiating in the Big Ten tournament, I don't even want to get started on that. The officiating was terrible. And I'm not even going to say it was terrible towards Wisconsin. I'm going to say it was terrible in general. Stephen Crowell got he was technical foul for staring at a guy. John Blackwell got a technical foul for flipping a ball. It was just, I don't know, Big Ten refs on a power trip because they're not good enough to make the NCAA tournament. I don't know. But it was just ridiculous. I think the Badgers had 3 technical fouls in all 3 games, so before the Michigan game. So that tells you how it was going there. But hey, we got more Badgers. I want to preview the Montana game. I want to talk a little bit more March Madness on the backside of this ad break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is March 19th here. We're coming back. I just wanted to mention before we get into the madness here real fast, you can find us Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go. Facebook and YouTube, search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. You can email the show, Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage @gmail.com, or you can shoot us a text, 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914 there. I want to get to this Badgers matchup with Montana, the Grizz, right? The Grizz playing the Badgers. They're out in Denver. The Badgers, no favors by the committee. You go to the Big Ten Championship, play the latest game on Sunday, and then you end up playing one of the earliest games on Thursday in Denver, in the altitudes. Not much rest. That's what you get. And this Montana team, as much as people are going to say, well, Montana, they're not that great of a team. They're 14s. Guess what? This team has, I believe, the 6th best offensive efficiency over the last 15 games or something like the last 10, the last 15. They have been ridiculous as of late here. So, they're not bad. They're not bad at all. They actually have the highest field goal percentage among all NCAA tournament teams, 50.2%. They entered the tournament winning 14 of 15, shooting 54% from the field and 42% from downtown, entering tournament play. That is impressive. They have been impressive for the last about 15 games that we've seen this team. They do have one common opponent to the Badgers, and then one opponent that, we saw last year, but we didn't see this year. They lost to Oregon 79-48. They lost to Tennessee 92-57. But regular season play doesn't matter. We know that. We know that regular season play does not matter. So what matters in this game? That's what we're going to talk about here. Montana, they run a lot of 5-out. They spread you out. They try to post you up a little bit, try to spread you out, drive the lane, get a little bit of one-on-ones there with the guards. They love transition, but they lack size. Size is the big thing. They're going to use that post guy as a screener. They're going to look for ball screens. A lot of ball screens, a lot of motion. They want to get downhill, looking for kickouts. They want to get shooter shots. That's what they're looking for there. Offensively, this is a tough team. If the Badgers don't show up and play physical, if they don't show up and play physical in this game, if the Badgers don't come out in this game ready to rock, they could get jumped. They could get jumped early. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. They got to play physical. They got to get through screens there. They got to get after it in this one. This could be a tough game. They got to get after it in all facets there. So that's what I'm looking at in this one here. When Montana goes small ball, this is what I'm interested in, because Montana, like I said, they have a relatively small lineup. They don't really have anybody above that 6'8" spot. Like their biggest guy, I mean, they have a guy on a roster at 6'10", but they don't really utilize him. Their biggest guy they usually rotate in is 6'8". So they don't have a lot of size. Badgers have the size advantage. When they go small ball, what do you do, right? That's the question. If you're Greg Gard, do you punish them? Do you say, I'm going to keep Steven Crowell and Nolan Winter in there, my 2 7-footers, with their 6'8" guys, and I'm going to pound the rock, right? Or do you go small ball with them? Do you put in a lineup with a guy like maybe Carter Gilmore or Amos running the 5 there? Or, maybe less Crowell, maybe more Winter running the 5, and you have Amos or Gilmore filling in at the 4. Those are all questions that have to be answered, or what we're going to see, what Greg Gard's going to do. But my thing is, if you come out in this game, you jump on them early, right? Say you can't have what happened in James Madison last year happen again, right? James Madison went up 12-2 against the Badgers, and from there it was over. The Badgers, you jump out early, say you go up like 16-5, right? Something big early. Now you can bring in the post players. Now you can slow the game down and dominate the paint because you have a big lead now. You don't have to worry so much about the defensive end. The problem is going to be is that if you're playing this back and forth, let's run with this team kind of battle, you're going to allow them to stay into it. You're not going to be able to utilize the bigs. You're going to have to go away from the bigs. You're going to have to go to that small ball lineup. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this Badger team and saying they got to come out early and they got to get off to a good start here. They got to get off to a good start in this game here. Play your game, right? Don't fall behind. For the love of Pete, don't settle for threes. Don't settle for threes. That's the big thing for me is don't settle for threes if you're the Badgers in this one. You got to find ways to get downhill. This is a team, they have good guards, but they're not quick. The Badgers outmatch them athletically. They from top to bottom. They have big guards. They have physical guards. But the Badgers, John Tonje, John Blackwell, those guys need to get downhill. They can't settle for threes. I think honestly, we could see Montana play a soft man because they are undersized. They're like, well, we can't match you. We can't match up with you guys. Let's play a soft man. Let's try to do, because we watched the Badgers against Michigan, right? We watched them struggle shooting in the 3 in a couple different games this year against Penn State and a couple other ones. They've struggled to shoot the 3. If the Badgers start settling for threes and they start missing, Montana might just sit in the paint. They might just say, all right, shoot it, right? Prove to me you can knock them down. We can't guard you one-on-one. We can't take you like that. We're not going to defend you way out there. Shoot it, right? They might get to that point. So I think the Badgers have to do a good job on working the offense, getting downhill, working the ball around, utilizing the ball screens, keeping the movement, right? Working on cutters, drive the lane, work downhill, then hit kickouts. Kick out threes, I like those. Kick out threes, I like them. Settle for 3, not so much. So that's where I'm looking at the Badgers this one. This is the way that they have to win this game here. The bigs, and I'm going to get to this here in a minute, but the bigs, they have to show up in this tournament. You want to win? You want to win in March? This is the one thing that I think is going to be the biggest knock on the Wisconsin Badgers. They don't have a big that can be dominant, right? Think about your dominant bigs. Janai Broom, right? Cooper Flagg can dominate there. He's a little bit bigger. He can dominate there. You have dominant bigs across college basketball. Hunter Dickinson for Kansas, right? Steven Crowell's not that. He doesn't prove to me to be an inside presence. And that's something that I write down every single week. For me, I don't want Steven Crowell doesn't have to be looking to score. He has to look to at least be a presence, right? And that doesn't mean that every single time he's shooting in the post. That just means when he gets it, he takes a couple dribbles. Maybe he backs a guy down, act like you're going to shoot, and then kick it out. You can't just, Max Klesman passes it down to Steven Crowell, and his first reaction, he doesn't even look to make a move towards the basket. He just kicks it out to John Tonje. right? He's got to at least look to be a presence in the post, because if you don't have a post presence, you're going to take away from what these guys are going to be able to do driving the basketball, and it's going to make defending you a heck of a lot easier. You got to find some post presence. So that's where I'm looking at these guys in this tournament here. But the Badgers, like I mentioned before, in this game against Montana, they got to go into attack mode. They got to get downhill. They got to force, because this team lacks size. Montana lacks size. How do you beat a team that lacks size? Get downhill, get to the rim, make them foul you, because they will. They'll have to. Otherwise, what are they going to do? Just let you keep scoring at the rim? They're going to foul you eventually. And guess what? You have one of the best free throw. You have the best free throw shooting team in the country. Utilize that. Utilize that to your strength. The one thing that makes me nervous, and this is the thing that makes me nervous completely, Wisconsin struggles defensively at times. And this Montana team, they're lighting it up going into the tournament. So defensively, the Badgers have got to come to play. No second chances. No second chances. This is a team in Montana. They're not big. They don't rebound. They absolutely are terrible at rebounding. I believe they're the worst rebounding team in the Big Sky. They were the Big Sky tournament champs. They were the worst rebounding team in the entire conference. They don't rebound. But if you allow them to get after the glass, be more physical, play faster, get after it more than you do in this game, you're done, right? You're done. They have some big guards. They don't have quick guards. You have the superior guards in this one. You got to play tough with these guys. You got to get after them. You got to defend that paint. Shut down those lanes, just like we've seen this Badger team do a couple different times this season. Shut down those driving lanes. Take care of your business. This is a game that the Badgers should win, have to win. You can't lose this game. You can't. You can. Knock on wood, right? You can, but you can't lose this game. Because I got to be honest with you, at this point, I know, and people are going to tell me, well, Drage, this Wisconsin team was picked to finish 12th in the Big Ten. Anything they do from here on out is a success, right? No. Because now they set an expectation. You exceeded what you were supposed to do. But now what are you going to do? Just lay down? No. You need this game. You need to win this game. You got to get out of the first round, right? This is your first game. You got to get out of this one. Then you get to game 2. Because if you go back-to-back years, last year you lost to a 12 seed. This year lose to a 14 seed. Greg Gard, I'm sorry, buddy. But at some point, you got to have some postseason success. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You got to make it out of this game at least. And then after that, we look at the bracket here. You're going to probably, I don't know. I picked multiple different ways, but I looked at a BYU team getting past VCU, but VCU is very good defensively, so they could slow down BYU. That could be an excellent game 2 for the Badgers. Whether it's VCU or it's BYU, one team's great defensively, the other one's good defensively, but they can shoot the lights out of the building from 3 there in BYU. So both those could be good matchups there for the Badgers. I have the Badgers, in my personal opinion, I have them going Elite 8. I picked them the Elite 8. I have them taking on Bama in that Elite 8. I think they can go dancing a ways. I really do. From there, who knows? Who knows from there? But we focus right now getting past this game on Thursday here against Montana. That's the start. This team is hungry. I believe they're hungry. They got to show it now, right? Stephen Crowell's got to show it. John Blackwell's got to show up to play. John Tonje, Max Klesman, those guys, they all look pissed off when they did the selection show. They panned the camera to them, right? And they showed them when they're selecting them, and they all look ticked, right? Just lost the Big Ten championship. They look ticked. Use that, fire you, get into Denver, roll with it. That's what I love to see there. Aaron, what do you think? Who is going to be, look through the bracket real fast. What is your upset? Pick your one upset that you believe is going to happen. Mine, I went crazy with it. It's not really crazy, I guess. It's not really too crazy. I have UC San Diego beating Michigan game 1. I took UC San Diego over Michigan.
I hate to play second fiddle. Literally, I was thinking that too, only because I've been listening to some podcasts and some things there, as of recently, just trying to get a little bit more of a clue on what's going on and things. And like Michigan's not playing good, and you already mentioned it. Michigan's not playing well at all right now. Like they're limping in, and that's one of those things. Like a team that's limping in the way that they are might get caught. You know what I mean? We've seen it before. We'll see it again. Only because you took that, I'll go some other direction just to be different. Your favorite team, right? Marquette I'll take New Mexico to beat Marquette in the first round. Why not?
I like that one. I like it's Rick Pitino's kid out there coaching there. So maybe we see Richard take care of business there with those Lobos. So, I mean, we can't wait. The madness is here. It's exciting. It's starting up here this week. So with that, hopefully we're talking about Badgers next week. But until then, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight here. It's been a great show. We'll catch you guys back here next Wednesday. But until then, see ya.